Welcome to Bucks, Browns, and Barbells. Today I'm going to talk about the 4 biggest wild browns I've caught and what I learned from each one. The first one's probably a personal favorite of mine, given that it was the first really big wild brown that I caught. This fish measured somewhere between 21 and 22 inches. The big takeaway for that one was learning that you had to fish in a stream that has fish like that. So I was fishing streams all across the state. I was fishing a lot of local streams that I thought could have them in them, and eventually came to a realization that they just didn't have them in them. So this fish was caught out of a small creek, tributary to a bigger one during the summertime. So that fish was probably migrated up in there for thermal refuge. I caught this fish on a large stonefly pattern. I had no idea how to fight a fish that big, so it took me quite a while to get it in, but was pretty excited when it finally hit the net. I've been fly fishing for about 2 or 3 years prior to that, so it was a pretty special moment. I won't forget that, and it took quite a while before I caught another one of that size, but it definitely taught me a lot of lessons. The second fish that I'm going to show, I'll put it up right here. This one was also caught out of a tributary to a larger stream during the summer, which is funny because I catch the least amount of big fish during the summer of all the seasons, but seem to have pretty good luck with the really big ones. The thing with this fish was I knew there were big ones in this really specific area on this stream, and I've been trying to catch them for probably about 2 years. I knew that what I really needed was a big rainstorm to raise the water level. I thought that would get those fish feeding and not be so spooky. Because some of the holes, as soon as you got anywhere close to them, everything was spooked and you had no shot, regardless of what you were using. I tried everything. Spinners, bait, flies, you name it, I tried it. So one summer we finally got a really big rainstorm, and I had the time and my buddy had the time, so I said, let's go out to this creek. I think we got a good shot at a good one. My buddy hooked one right before and it snapped him off. While he was re-rigging, I cast it into the same hole and pulled this fish out. This fish went 22 inches. At the time, that would have been tied with the previous fish for my largest one. Although I think the first one probably weighed more and had more girth and head size. And if I had to pick one, I would definitely probably pick the first one. The big lesson from that fish is this: how much a rainstorm or weather event can really up your chances at these fish if you've located them prior. This can be good year after year. I know those fish are in that stretch every single year. So anytime during the summer I get a rainstorm and I have the time, that's definitely a place that I like to target. The third fish that I'm showing here, this was another fish that was caught during the summer out of a small tributary to a larger stream. This fish was in a spot that I probably fished maybe 24 times before. I always caught fish there, but I never seemed to catch the caliber of fish that I knew were there, and I knew that some people in the area were catching. So eventually I figured out that there was this very specific bucket there that not a lot of people knew about. So I went there the week prior and fished a stonefly through this bucket and caught 2 that were 18. So I was pretty excited to get back because it was summertime and I'm not used to catching big fish during the summer. So I got back in there and got it into the bucket and hooked into a fish that felt pretty big. Now the thing about this fish is I had him hooked right in the tip of the mouth, like right under the top of the lip. So I had a lot of leverage on this fish, so it didn't really feel that big, didn't really fight that much. But eventually I got him in, and I knew it was a really big fish. So when I measured him, he was well past the 20 mark on my net, and I didn't have a 24 mark measured out. So I got a rough estimate. This fish went somewhere between 23 and 24 inches. The big takeaway from this one was that if you're fishing a spot that you know there are big fish and you know other people are catching big fish out of it, but you just don't seem to be catching big fish out of it, you might need to look a little deeper. There might be something specific or overlooked in the spot that you need to figure out in order to catch this fish. I think I could have probably also caught this fish if I had fished it during a weather event. It could have pushed it out of that bucket into more of the water I was used to fishing. But overall, probably the biggest wild brown that I've caught. I wouldn't quite say it was 24 just because I don't have a complete measurement, and a 24 mark is something that kind of means something to me. So yeah, this last fish, it was my most recent big fish. It was caught out of a larger stream, a stream that the fish generally don't stay in year round. They usually migrate into some tributaries. It was caught on that border of winter and spring. Actually, there were granums coming off that day. It was the first day I saw granums of the year. I caught this fish on a worm. I hooked him after a half decent fight, finally got him in. I knew it was a really big fish. And immediately I knew that I had caught this fish in 2024 and in 2022. In 2022, it was 20 inches. In 2024, it was 22 inches. And then this year, it was 23 inches. So not quite the 2 foot mark, but right up there with my other largest wild brown. And interesting enough, that fish came from the exact same spot every single time. That fish doesn't live there year round. There's no way. That water gets way too warm. But it was in the same exact spot each time. The first year I caught him on a jerkbait. The second year I caught him on a stonefly. And then this year I caught him on a live minnow. So what this fish taught me is I don't know how true it is, but it seems that these fish really seem to have their patterns, seem to migrate to the same spots every single year. I can guarantee that next year this time I'll be back in that spot hoping that it hit the 24 mark. So might be my first 2 footer next year. We'll see. If it is, then you'll definitely hear. So those are my top 4 wild browns. We had a 21 to 22, a 22 inch, a 23 to 24, and a 23 inch. Each one taught me a lot, and I learned a lot in between each fish over the course of the last 8 years or so fly fishing and really targeting wild trout. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe so that I can get a better studio than this. Thanks.
Oh.